All right, all right, all right. Um, Good morning, good morning, good morning. What is up? Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. What's up? Instagram. What's up? TikTok. What is up? Clubhouse. We are live. Looks like everything is rolling. The goal here is to just be on here for about an hour or so, just riffing, vibing, chilling. You know, doing our thing. I have a lot of Twitter or just kind of notes to go through. I've been posting most of my notes to Twitter. So just going to run up that list. Most of them are creative, some are about my day, about the things I'm doing, watching, going through. So yeah, first one on the list is looking forward to watching season 2 of For All Mankind tonight. Yeah, man, that show, it really, it definitely sucks me in. Trying to also be proactive about marking the time code here, but I guess there's no real good way to do that because then my video is gonna, they're all about the same. But yeah, just like the thing I really like about, well, there are things that I like about it, there's things that I don't like about it, but just the overall production of For All Mankind is pretty insane. I love how just visually cinematic it is. And yeah, let me actually share my screen up here for anyone that's on Twitter and Twitch, just so you get a little bit more. I mean, I'm just going to go on through the same thing, but just throw my screen up here if anyone wants to follow along. I've been working on figuring out Clubhouse. It looks like you can schedule rooms, so I think that's the way to do it. You schedule a room for a specific time, and then I'm guessing that alerts people or pings people or something like that to bring into the room. Because I was just clicking add or create room, create an open room, and it didn't seem to be doing, I wouldn't say it didn't seem to be doing anything, but it didn't give me an option to add like title and stuff like that. So I think I've got that figured out now. If anyone's curious as to what I'm using right now for this production, so Instagram has the iPhone 10s Max, Twitter or TikTok has the iPad Air just chilling. We got two SL3s, one with a wide angle lens and one with a little bit cropped in lens. Zoom P4 for the audio, and then I'm using, if you're on Twitter or Twitch or anything like that, I'm using the GoPro Hero 8 hooked up to the computer as a webcam. My last computer could not handle it. It would just glitch out whenever I moved. And I kind of gave up on it. But I was like, you know what, let me just kind of give it another try, like give it another go. And it seemed to be working pretty well for this. Let's see, Laura's putting Mav to sleep. Like really just, like what I like about this is I can kind of go back to all of my notes and kind of any film ideas, anything like that, anything I want to dive a little bit deeper in. This is the time I can do that, or I can make a film out of it. I need to update the CDN on heywillmosley.com first thing when I wake up. Yeah, it's interesting being a developer. You work all day on other people's projects, and your website. Like the thing with my website is I want to make sure it's as low. What's the word? I don't want to have to continue to manage and manage and manage it. I want to be able to kind of set it, come back to it weekly or even possibly monthly. Because I know what it needs, what it doesn't need. I've talked about this plenty of times before about my kind of opinion on websites. Like, do we need a website in 2021? It's an interesting question because I think that for most people that are just starting out, I don't think you actually need a website. And I know it's kind of contradictory to me being a web developer, but I think the best thing you can do, it used to be like the best thing you could do is create a website for yourself so people can find you. But the best thing you can do to exploit that or leverage like attention is creating social media accounts on all the platforms and posting content and getting awareness there. Because, it's way more likely that someone has TikTok or Twitter on their phone versus like opening up your Safari and then going to, your website and stuff like that. It's more friction. That's all that is. So doing that and then eventually getting a website. And then eventually, if there are some pretty big things that you want to do, creating a pretty custom e-commerce store that can handle a lot of the more complex operations, like interactions between your CRM or building out a application form that then sends to Zendesk, that then does all these other little things. Like, you can't specifically do that within like these social apps, but you know what I mean. I really like. So what happens with this stuff is, I'll sit down, I'll record this, and I'll try to talk as long as I can, be as thorough as I can. But it is not a. It's not a hard task. It's a time-consuming task to try to go through, like, listen and then chop these into micro pieces where the next kind of question or the next thought kind of starts without just listening through. And I don't think I have an easy way to do that yet. I thought writing down like a time code, but I just realized in my mind, like, my Zoom time code, well, kind of. I could have, yeah, I don't know. My Zoom time code's going to be different than what's on my cameras. I guess I could have written down like what the time is on a specific camera. I have a camera that I go to, and then I kind of comment that. Yeah, I guess that works. I guess that works. Maybe I'll try to do that. But yeah, CDN. CDN is pretty much a way of helping deliver assets, like images or JavaScript or CSS, stuff like that, in a location that's more close to the user that is loading the page. So you'll have your assets in different places in the world, essentially. And then it can pull from those assets, which will technically take less time through the internet. And so I just had to update some stuff on there. Anyways, revamping Hey Will Mosley the next week. Lots of thoughts. Yeah, definitely a lot of thoughts on this, where I have been going back and forth between making my website a real good place for education on creativity, anything from social media to web development to filmmaking to content distribution, just all the things. But I also, like, as I think about this, as I think about all of the platforms that I use, it's almost like my YouTube and my Instagram are kind of doing those things. Mainly my YouTube. My YouTube, you can go there, see very long form content. And essentially, my kind of thought process with this, that where I kind of came back to where I guess my original thoughts was that social media, like I did this talk before, a while ago, but there's branding, there's social media, or sorry, there's branding, there's marketing, and then there's sales, right? And I think branding is a lot of this, where I'm on social, where it's just me talking, me vibing, me giving as much value and information as I can, without any expectation in return. It's just like me sharing my life, sharing thoughts, sharing my perspective. That's branding. Like when you're not hunting for anything, that's just branding. But my website, like yes, it can do the same thing. It can be branding, but a good way of separating that is my website is the marketing side, right? Where it's just like, in technically marketing, when you tell people, when you say, hey, I do websites, that's technically marketing. But like the main actual big old, like, here's what I do, like marketing is just saying what you do. The website kind of makes more sense to do that, if that makes sense, where it's just like, here goes a long list of all the things that I do and I can do and that I've done. Reach out if it's something that you really want or need. And yeah, so that's what I kind of went with. I think I can do this. I think I can write down as I'm talking about this. I can easily see but then it's still gonna be different, because whenever this stops at 30 minutes, I think the only reliable time code I can go off of, go off of, is the Zoom time code for a break. Let's see, this is 27 minutes. I'm just going to try to comment this out, because I'm just thinking a lot on how I can actually go through this. So 26 or 27, 09 tweet. Yeah, let's move on. Catfish with a Wife, season 4 is a juicy. I don't know how I've missed this, but I literally missed the entire season 4 of Catfish, and I'm loving it, because I don't have any recollection, obviously, of any of the episodes. So everything is kind of new, not new, but like you watch it. It's just been one of those things that me and Laura like can kind of like, end of the day, just enjoy. Like it's nice. Finding those times with your partner is definitely a must. Every time I watch Catfish, I want to go on a secret mission. That's the truth. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna write all the time codes. I don't feel like doing that. I'll figure out a way. I'll figure out a system, but it's not this yet. Also wondering, does it matter who is actually caring about the Twitter screen? Could change that up, change it back and forth. I don't know. Doesn't matter. What happens is, like, I love the kind of impromptu of how in Catfish is shot. I like how you got like a small cam, and you've got like just them on the road and rolling. Like, so I have all the gear to be able to do most of the stuff, but I have to bring myself back to reality. Because it's like that. It's not. I can take elements, like I'm taking some elements right now from a lot of elements, honestly. When you are seeing this, well, if you're on the podcast, just listening to this, but when you are seeing this on YouTube, I have two cameras that are crossing directions, and then I have the laptop in the middle, and very similar setup to what they do on Catfish. And then I was holding the little camera at the screen, but I'm not doing anything really with my screen, if you really think about it. But yeah, every single time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, secret mission, got all this gear, let's go. Season 4, episode 10 had me on. Ooh, can't remember what it exactly was, but yeah. This is like one of those things where if I wake up every morning, right, let's say 2 a.m. in the morning, and I just vibe for an hour, the amount of creative content that can be produced from here, or just thoughts and processes and all this stuff, is insane. Just this one big long form piece of content, like of the entire stream, is, if you do that, say, every day, it's 365 pieces where you are literally going into in deep about your beliefs, your thoughts, what you stand for, what you appreciate, what you enjoy. And that's insane value to your audience, but also to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, think about, like, if you could go back every single day, and it's almost like having a log of what was going on in my life, and then my analysis, my thought process on that every day. That's like, I don't know, it's really cool. It's meta. But then what's also cool is that there are many questions or many thoughts within this one block that can then be parsed out into their own pieces of content that can be shared, right? So if as I'm doing this for roughly an hour or something like that, there may be 10 to 20 different long, big, kind of like 5 minute kind of things that I'm just talking about, thinking about, that can then be used as micro content. So it's you can't expect your audience to want to be along for the journey for a whole hour and a half. Hell, 15 seconds. Like, if they got the time, they got the time. If they don't, you know, they'll do their thing. It's not a big deal. But what you can do to maybe help facilitate that and also get way more bang out of that is, what is that? So if, let's just say you took out 10 good 5 minute clips from your stream, that's 3,650 clips, or like pieces of content per year, just by waking up and doing a stream for an hour. It's not like beautifully fancy or anything, like but it's your thoughts. So moving on, figured out the CDN issue had to do with WP Offload Media. Got the broken image links working, now off to some simplification. Just a disconnect with the WP Offload's plugin. Had a weird dream about a factory that loved their employees. Strange. That's funny. I've got this weird, like, just, oh man, like with factories, like, they're necessary, right? They're necessary to help run the world, but like, if you're in a factory job, like, and take this, if you hate the job, like, some people actually enjoy factory work. But like, when I was doing factory work, it was probably the worst work I've ever done. It was the worst work physically, and it was also the worst work mentally on my brain. It made me feel like a robot. It made me feel like a slave. It made me feel like just worthless, like a cog in the system. And as you can imagine, that's the opposite of what, creativity is. It's about self-expression. It's about, sharing your passion and just doing, you know, take it that you're making things in factories, but what's weird is that they make it very clear that you are very replaceable and you are not important, in most factories, or at least when you're on the lower level type thing. They never went up the ladder, but very quick. Like, if you're late, if you're this or what, we will replace you, and we will not blink. We will not think about it. And what I enjoy is just working for smaller teams. Like teams of like 10 or less. It's just so much more personable. It's you're valued. What you do, you can see it translate across the board to other people, the audience, the people that you're trying to reach. I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing. I really love that. So I would recommend, like, if you're looking for a job, like, do what you have to do to survive. Like, I'm very adamant on that, where it's like, you don't. The big mistake that I made early on is I tried to make my job my career or like I'm trying to make my passion the job that I get paid for. And yes, you know, you can aim for that. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's almost better off just getting a job, like, and having being okay in your mind with yourself that this is the job that pays the bills. I'll work here for 4 days, and then during my early mornings, during my late nights, during my whatever, during my, you know, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's my time to kind of be me and do me. Because what happens is when you have that, when you remove yourself from like this career, this whatever has to be the thing, or I have to level up in this job, or I have to, like, do your absolute best within that job. Like, do what you can and get along with the people and just enjoy it. And just realize that that's the way you're making your money. And then the other time is the way you can express yourself. What happens a lot of times, I was talking with my foster dad a day or two ago about this, is that you put so much weight on, you know, your creativity making money that you get lost. You either get lost in it or you get depressed, because money from your passion does not come fast. It does not come easy. And I almost think it's almost like, I was making the example of like, when you, let's say someone asks, and this is probably not a super great example, but it's the only thing I can think of right this exact second. But let's say that someone, one of your friends, asks you to help them move. Like, hey, can you, can you help me move today, right? They don't, you know, they just ask a favor, and you're like, all right, sure, all right, I'll help you move. Someone, you know, you like, you're like, okay, I got you. You don't really want to do it, but you'll help them out, and that's that. But have you ever noticed when someone is like, yeah, let me, can you help me move for $20, or can you help me move for $10? Or something, like when they put a money monetization onto it, it makes it feel as though your time's not like being valued, which is weird because you doing it for free is completely okay. But like, hey, can you do this for $20? All of a sudden it's like, well, you're working, you start to quantify, okay, I'm going to be here for 8 hours and you're going to give me $20 out of it. Like, that's not a good deal. That's horrible, right? But for free, you would do it without any thought on that. I think it's the same way with our creativity, with our passion and stuff like that. If you don't try to put a dollar amount or need a dollar amount on your creativity, the sky's the limits. You're just doing it to be happy, to be fulfilled, and eventually things may come from that. I've talked about the ebb and flow and the feast and the famine or whatever before, but yeah, creative freedom is extremely important. What you're doing when you are, and this isn't my words, it's just something I've been listening and hearing about, but what you're doing when you're working for someone is you're renting out your time. And in a sense, as if whenever you do start freelancing, you're still doing the same thing. You're renting out your time, or you're renting out your audience's time. And as much as you can kind of be away from that and still pay your bills, right? Got to pay the bills. The better. You know, you have more freedom to do what you want to do. Let's see. Back's got knots. Looking forward to this hot water. Yeah, I mean, I'm 32 now. I don't know, like starting to notice a couple little creaks in the body. Just a little bit. Yeah. taking a bath, starting this edit. Who else like takes a bath when they need to creatively focus? I used to be worried about dropping the laptop in the bath. Still do get worried about dropping the laptop in the bath, but I don't know. Like it's just a nice like way of getting away from everything that's going on. And usually I can get about 45 minutes out of it. Sometimes an hour, hour and a half, where I can just be in the bath editing a film. I got a little recording start.